A fable is a short story, typically with animals as characters, conveying a moral. The Bullfrog and the Opossum.
The desire to learn what lies beyond the known began in the egg for Herman the frog. He could see things existed beyond the shell of his egg, but with no clarity. They were vague shadows swirling in blurry light. He began to daydream from within, his shell about what was moving out there. His imagined explanations were vague in substance, but he wanted to interact with them. One day, Herman hatched. Being a tadpole didn't satisfy his desire to learn about what lies beyond the known. It exasperated it. From the moment he broke free of his egg, Herman began taking note of every new sensation he possessed. He learned how his body felt when he stretched for the first time. After the fetal position of the egg, he felt the warm and cold currents, swirling quick and slow, creating eddies Herman could ride wildly into the nooks and crannies of the water. He found algae, like congealed water, in hues of greenish browns, soft and squishy to the touch. Seeing. His siblings, wriggling around in a chaotic ballet of their New World stage, slightly overwhelmed him at first. They were chaos in motion, bumping into each other as they chased their food. His favorite new sensation was color. He couldn't have imagined how intensely saturated the hues were painted from within his egg. Colors made everything distinct, adding, clarifying diversity to his blurry knowledge of all that existed from within his egg. Herman vowed at that moment of appreciation for his senses to always look for what lies beyond the known. By the time Herman had grown legs, he had explored every crevice of the bog from within the waters. The boredom of knowing everything there was to know about his watery home nagged at him, urging his desire to know what lies beyond the known. His first day on land was a sensory overload that brought a surge of joy at the prospect of learning new things. He discovered how delicious flies were very quickly, along with an appreciation for the organic over the lithic. He found the warmth of the sun to be soothing to his body yet drying to his skin. Herman explored 10 hops out from the water's edge, the entire circumference of the shore, in a little over a week. He had noted the smells, sounds, colors, and tastes of interest that came from what lies beyond the known. Not long had passed. Before Herman had the entire bog down to memory with only one goal ahead, to explore the next beyond the known. At the farthest edges of the bog, Herman discovered a huge black stone. He didn't know what it was yet, but he was determined to try, to find out. On his first exploration upon the black stone surface, he dared to place a flipper on it. His sensations noted that the black rock was warm to the touch and slightly sticky, but hard underfoot. One day, Herman knew enough to go beyond what he knew about the large, sticky black stone. That day, Herman was full of excitement that seemed to vibrate in the air. He was bursting from within, spurring his desire to know what lies beyond the known to soar. The air seemed sweeter on his tongue. The sun was warm on his skin, despite the mist hanging in the air. The mist kept his skin cool, with an aura to his visibility that reminded him of his time spent in his egg. Herman couldn't wait to begin his new quest, his grandest adventure yet laid before him. Herman hopped speedily up to the edges of the black stone so fast he skidded to a stop to scope out his path forward. The black stone was surprisingly flat and wide, but its length in either direction was endless to his sight. With the mist, seeing the other side clearly was impossible. He remembered there were every tall trees there, but his vision today portrayed none of them. With his desire to learn what lies beyond the known leading him, Herman surged forward with no further hesitation. His eagerness to reach what lay beyond the known was his only plan. The black rock was slightly damp, yet still warm and sticky, like the first time his fin touched it. This made his fast hops pleasantly refreshing to his cold-blooded body. The exhilaration of new sensation consumed his being, compelling Herman into croaking songs as he hopped into the unknown. He was hopping his way towards enlightenment. A loud vroom noise could be heard, and suddenly, splat. Herman died as a huge wheel rolled over him. From an outcrop of trees on the other side of the road, Opie Summ climbed down from his tree, as was his routine to find his breakfast. The morning's mist was burnt off entirely now, making it safe for him to forage his food. This pleased him immensely. His anxiety was paralyzing, literally. One good scare and Opie would fall over looking as if he were dead. He knew you had to be careful when it was foggy out, because the fog hid dangerous unknown things. Ever since, Opie was a Joey. He had been scared of everything. When something unknown surprised him, he would freeze stiff and fall dead weight, staying paralyzed by fear for extended periods of time. The world is full of terrifying things out to kill you. "Opie!" his mother had warned numerous times a day as he grew up. After his first paralyzing encounter, Opie knew how right she was. This day would be no different. It would be full of things unknown that were a threat. Opie had to be vigilant in his tasks, to avoid the evils he knew existed only to threaten him. The solid ground beneath his feet alerted Opie that it was time to begin his standard procedure of encircling his tree, to sniff out if anything evil had found his sanctuary as he slept. These rituals saved him from dangerous things unknown. The rituals kept him safe from the evils of this world. On the completion of Opie's encirclement, he released a fearsome hiss as he clawed the ground with his front paws. It didn't matter if something was there or not to see the display. He knew he had to do it. He knew it just might save him. Opie knew you had to be vigilant about guarding yourself from the dangerous things unknown, or they would kill you. Assured that the perimeter was safe from dangerous unknowns, Opie started down the short path towards his favorite spot to eat. The road. There was always an abundant supply of decaying carcasses cooking in the sun there. Opie could see heat waves emitting from the asphalt on the horizon before he could see the surface itself, an excellent sign that any fresh kills would be cooking. Opie smiled at the thought of a warm meal. He couldn't remember the last time he had smiled. It felt unsafe, and for a moment he thought he had done something evil to himself. Thankfully, he remembered before he collapsed. He had done his ritual and would be safe from dangerous things unknown, meaning he could not be something evil. He was redeemed. Assured in his salvation from the completing his ritual, Opie began moving towards the edge of the road again. An odor that made his mouth water saturated his nostrils with the sweet smell of decay as he came to the road's edge. A flattened bullfrog, swelling from the sun, appeared on the horizon towards his left quadrant. What a delicacy. Bullfrog was one of those meals you often found as jerky, dry, and chewy, because their delicate flesh cooked so quickly. A fresh kill was a rare find for midday. "Yum, breakfast," Opie gleefully hissed. He came to the road, looking both ways for the all-clear from those evil vrooms that killed his meals. When he knew it was safe, he scampered out to retrieve his breakfast. He stopped at the edge of the grass with his fresh bullfrog to see how best to eat it. Before he could eat, he had to do the encirclement ritual to ensure he was safe from dangerous things unknown. Hiss, scratch. Breakfast at last. Opie grabbed a legus, his first portion. The limb easily dislodged from the carcass in one swift tug. Opie had it in his mouth faster than a bat out of hell. The juices burst over his tongue with the first bite, as well as dripping down his chin. It was superb. Before he had completely chewed and swallowed his first piece of bullfrog, Opie had the second leg ready to go. Suddenly, a huge shadow covered him, as a crow dove down from the sky. Instantly paralyzed by fear, Opie collapsed where he stood. The bone, he hadn't fully chewed, with very sharp edges, stabbed through the roof of his mouth and into his brain when he fell. Opie died instantly from a danger unknown. The moral of the story is to live like every day is your last. Living for adventure or living for fear does not change anything because you end up dead either way.